Here's the art of wrestling with professional wrestler Colt Cabana.
All right, how you guys doing? Come on in, sit down, relax. You're about to listen to The Art of Wrestling, a professional wrestling podcast. It's a life podcast. It's a personal journal. It's an entryway into the minds, the souls, the hearts, and the lives of the people involved in the world of professional wrestling. I'm your host. My name is Colt Cabana. I'm a live podcaster. I'm going to birthday parties. I'm a dude. That's all I got for you today. Most importantly, though, I am a professional wrestler, and I am sitting here live in my studio apartment in Chicago, Illinois. Before I go any further, this is a fan-supported and listener-supported podcast supported by people just like you. We give it to you free of charge every single Thursday. ColtCabana.com, iTunes, SoundCloud, wherever you get your podcasts from. A couple great ways that you can support, rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes. Tell a friend. Let somebody know. Tweet it out. Facebook it out. Snapchat it out. Let the world know. Best way that you can support, though, ColtMerch.com, DigitalColt.com, t-shirts, buttons, pictures, posters, DVDs, digital downloads. It's all over there. It's a great way to support. ColtMerch.com, DigitalColt.com. Yeah, I went to a birthday party. That's like nothing to brag about, but it is when you go to a birthday party of a 65-year-old man who likes full Nelsons at a wrestling school in New York, ran by two of your buddies, Pat Buck and Kurt Hawkins. Create a Pro out there in New York does birthday parties. Of course you do birthday parties. That's part of, not the scam of a wrestling school, but that's part of how you can make money in a wrestling school. I know I talked to Corporal Punishment over there at MCW in Baltimore, and that's big business for him, and so is it at Create a Pro in New York. I mean, if you got a kid, you got a 10-year-old kid, yeah, bring him to Create a Pro, throw him in a wrestling ring with a bunch of his friends. They'll grab you some cake, we'll order some pizza. Probably the greatest birthday party of all time. I wish. Imagine if I was 10 years old and I went to a birthday party and like the equivalent of Kurt Hawkins was there, which would be what, like Paul Roma and Hercules, like Power and Glory. Imagine just Power and Glory is sitting there going like, happy birthday, kid, you're 10. And I'm like, oh my God, Hercules, this is what you're doing? He's like, yeah, we got to pay the bills somehow. But that's the reality of it, is that they have to pay the bills somehow, and they're doing birthday parties. This was for a 65-year-old man, though, who likes full Nelsons. You could hear that whole story on the Kevin Matthews podcast. But that was the birthday party I went to, because I was in New York. I wrestled a match. I had actually a real fun match. And you know what's crazy? And this is just a comment on wrestling in general, but I wrestled Saturday night in a garage in New York in front of about 100 people, and I had a blast, by the way. It was like Improv City out there. A couple of fans basically said they would pay to watch me just stand in the middle of the ring and just talk the whole time. Essentially kind of what I just did. I wrestled TJ Warren, a student of Create a Pro. He started there from scratch. And it's fun to wrestle a guy that your friends train from scratch, and then you get to go in there and have a fun match. I wrestled him in an industrial park in New York. And I dare I say I got more tweets and social media feedback that Saturday night from that match than I did from being on Ring of Honor TV, which I was also on that night all across, I think, the country in like 40 markets. So I don't know what that says, but it says something. It kind of makes you scratch your head a little bit. Although that match was great. I get it. I get the tweets from that show because it was hilarious. Also did a bunch of Global Force shows. Hanging with the Jarretts, I tagged with them one night. You better fucking believe I strutted my ass off. 4 fingers to the left, 4 fingers to the right. Move out of the way, folks. I need to be strutting. Ain't I great? I am great. And speaking of Global Force Wrestling, Kongo Kong, who's the guest this week, he did those tapings out in Las Vegas. He's a part of the Global Force roster, and that's really cool that he's part of the Global Force roster, and you'll find out why in a little bit when I have a little chat ski with old Kongo Kong. Who'd have thunk, right? A savage. How did I get this savage to get on the microphones? I talked to Steve, and he told me his name was Steve. And that's not something I'm very comfortable with. I come on here as Colt Cabana. I go on TV as Colt Cabana. I do comedy gigs as Colt Cabana. When I help produce a TV show and they want to know what I want to put in the credits as producer, I say Colt Cabana. Kongo Kong, though, he says Steve, which is maybe because it's such a drastic difference between the wrestler and the person. For me, it's basically the same thing. So I stick with Colt. That's the name, that's the business, that's the brand. That sounded shitty. I hate when I say brand. But you get the idea. Like, why, that's it. That's what everyone's known me by. That's what's got to stick. I've known Kongo Kong for so long. Now he's starting to come out. We talk all about that. It's pretty cool. He's just a real good, nice, wholesome dude. And that's what this episode is. Learn about a guy. Today you're going to learn about a guy, somebody that maybe you've seen his name, or somebody that you don't even know. You're going to go YouTube, you're going to go look him up, you're going to go see him, see a picture of him, Google image this guy, and then learn about Kongo Kong. A couple technical notes. I have told you that I bought all new gear. There's 2 podcasts. I have 2 podcasts. This is one of them that were on the old gear. There's a couple of quick glitches that goes in and out. For the most part, it's fine. And I did edit around a little bit of stuff, so bear with us with that one. This is one of them. The second one is such a good one and legendary one that I think I'm going to probably put it out around the time of the Wrestling Road Diaries when that comes out. And I'll warn you, I'll let you know there's a couple glitches, but it doesn't ruin it. It's easy to go through. It's fine. When's the Road Diaries coming out? Okay, we have a new plan. I think the date is September 1st. I'm going to put some pre-orders up, but I can't put it out before I go to Edinburgh and then sit in Scotland for a month and not be able to send them out. The anxiety will drive me up the wall. So I'm going to come back from Europe. Then I'm going to ship out these things like crazy. The first 1,000 orders, which maybe in a week, a month, or maybe never will happen, will get an autograph by myself, Grado, and Kikutaro on the same card, a collector's card. We did that. I made them. I put them to work. I said, you got to sign these things so we can send it out when it happens. That's the latest update on it. But I've seen the first draft. So good. Jack Ettinger, killing it. Other than that, maybe a little business. Remember, the archives are going on howl.fm starting June 22nd. It's the same day that 3 new Pro Wrestling Fringe episodes are coming out. The latest 6 months of all episodes will be available on the feed, but if you just download them, they'll all be on your feed forever. And when you have the Howl app or you go on the website, they'll all be there, and it's like the app that I never had. Howl.fm. It's going to happen June 22nd. I'm warning you now. Just download all of them. Then you don't have to if you don't want to. Otherwise, if you want them at your disposal, they're right there. Howl. It's going to be so great. You're so great. Everybody. This has happened because everybody's great. Let's all love each other. All right? I love the song of the week this week. It's a great song. I love the name of the guy who's singing the song of the week. He has a great name. I'm going to tell you about it in a second. The song of the week is brought to you by Harry's, though. And they did send me a Father's Day box, and I kept it for myself. Please don't tell my father. I'm very sorry. But this is a no-brainer Father's Day gift. I use Harry's. Why? Because I'm sick of spending $8 million for razors at the store. And the shipping is free. Harry's just cut out the middleman. It's Harry's, and then it's you. They bought a factory in Germany. They make great razors, and now we get to benefit from it. It's half the price of leading brands, and it's a full refund if you're not into it. Trust me, though, you'll be into it. The limited edition Father's Day shave set includes a matte black razor handle, a chrome razor stand, which I didn't even know was a thing until they sent it to me, moisturizing foam shave gel, 3 handcrafted blade cartridges, and a travel cover for only $40. Plus, it comes in a sleek, giftable box with an option to add custom engraving and a card, or you can just get one for yourself with options starting at $15, and I'll get you $5 off with my coupon code WRESTLING, then it's only $10. You gotta act now, though. Economy shipping for Father's Day ends today, June 9th, so order it right now as you're listening to it. That's HARRYS.com. Enter that code WRESTLING, get $5 off, help support the show, and give your dad something he'll actually use on Father's Day.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Hey, we're also brought to you by 5-4 Club Apparel at 54club.com. They're sending you stylish, amazing clothes and accessories out of Los Angeles once a month. Los Angeles, that means they're cool. If you have a clothing budget, then 5-4 makes perfect sense. It's only $60 a month, free shipping. They're not getting you that way, and they send you really nice, fashionable clothes. Trust me, I've been wearing them nonstop. You don't have to go out and try it on and find stuff and get super frustrated in fitting rooms like I usually do. It's just sent to you. It's an actual brand too. 5-4 is a brand. You can only get it by being a member. You can't get it in stores. You go on the website and it's an easy sign-up process. Just personalize your style preference. For a date, work, casual, sleep in, maybe a wrestling show, whatever you want, you pick from the styles. Classic, casual, forward, or mix. Every month, You get brand new stuff and you can build up your wardrobe, diversify your look, different clothes for different seasons. Right about now, sending you short and button-ups. When it gets cold, you'll get some jackets and jeans. Just check out the site, 54club.com. Use the code COLT, get 50% off your first month. It's like $150 in clothes for $30. FIVEFOUR club.com. Use that code COLT. Start looking good.
Do you ever do any of these things?
Yeah, I do them. I do them call-ins all the time. Yeah.
Do you?
Yeah.
Because I was wondering, like, the idea of worth, like, when you're a character like you,
Right.
like, what's worth keeping the character to the, hey, there's a real person, like, the reality of where we are, like, in the new millennium of wrestling.
Right.
Does that cross your mind at all?
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, I always tell them, you're talking to Steve Wilson right
You
now.
do say that.
Yeah, the man behind Kong, you know.
Say it again?
The man behind Kong.
Oh, okay.
Because, I mean...
They said you may be high. I may be high, but I'm calling. So you how do you separate that? Like,
It's when the paint is on, you don't get any words out of me. You know, I'm Kong. I'm that character at that moment, and anytime I'm out of paint, then that's when I guess I'm approachable, when I'm human again.
yeah. Do you have like social media and stuff as Kong or no?
Yeah. It's weird. You know, I choose not to speak, I guess, more so than I can't speak, or I'm not the typical unintelligent savage. Mm-hmm. You know, Ultimate Warrior was a savage too, so.
You know who else was a savage? Randy. And Fred. And Ben. There's a couple of them.
Right.
You kind of walked into this thing. This wasn't your... this wasn't your first run. I mean, for the background, I guess for everybody is like we've essentially known each other
17 plus years.
17 years, right? Yeah, because and you haven't been and like I think we'll get to kind of all like the idea of like how that road has been for you, because I think it's super interesting, and I think it's like, you know, I think not luckily but like ideally for me, like I've been in like these high profile shows and cards over the years, and I've been doing it for 17 years just as you, and like, you know, I and you correct me if I'm wrong, but like, you know, now you're starting to kind of take a little steam, and you're on these shows, these higher profile shows,
absolutely,
right?
It seems like it took forever, and it almost took for the paint to happen in order for my career to take off, and it's weird how that happens, but you know, I've always been me, just, you know, painting my face, and people noticed me.
Have you always painted your face?
When I first started, I did some painting, but
there's a sign on the door too that says, "This might be an overlying theme of as a man comes in, a weird man too. He was like a weirdly. Did you see? He was like a mafioso man.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
Yeah.
Okay, because you were Osiris first.
Yeah, when I was Osiris, when I first started, I painted my face because, you know, my idols were Demolition and Ultimate Warrior and Road Warriors and those guys that painted their faces. So I wanted to paint mine too, you know, kind of have this badass approach to it. And eventually I had to stop because my paint was ruining everybody's clothes.
Yeah, and you've come up with the theory now? Like, you figured it out?
Oh yeah. Acrylic. Yeah, it stays dry. It doesn't stain anybody's clothes. It's pretty good. Yeah.
How does it? Nobody's complaining about it. Although some of these guys with these rings, right? They don't give a fuck.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, but like these promoters, if I had a ring and a canvas,
yeah,
and it's different colors every single time.
Yeah. I mean,
so for those who don't know, Kongo Kong, a savage beast, right? What would it be? What would you describe? I mean, I guess the fun part about you is it's easy to describe, kind of like.
Yeah, I mean, the original idea for the gimmick came from a guy named Phil Monahan, and he said, "I want you to be sort of a cross between Umaga and Kamala." And I'm like, I don't want to do that, first of all, because it's stereotypical, and I get so tired of seeing rapping and dancing and you know, that stereotypical black guys in wrestling. But you know, I did it because it was worth a little more money at the time, and I was just like, whatever. And
so you hold on. So you had that. I like the idea that like in your head you're like, no, I won't. But for an extra whatever it was, you're like, all right.
Yeah, I'll consider it because it's and hey, whatever. He wants pay me, right?
Yeah, well, it's funny because I've talked to Virgil too,
Yeah.
and he's like, I'm like, you were essentially a slave, and he's like, the money was right, fuck it, I did it. I'm like, I ain't complaining. Do
Right.
whatever you want with me.
I mean, it's an acting job, really, where we get to be athletic. But I mean, I think we are characters first, and
well, let me ask you this. So, people like that's a thing where people maybe like Rusev is a good example. It's like stereotypical thing, but like. Is there? I'm a firm believer. It's like when I went to WWE, they were like, I'm like, well, what's different about me? I guess I'm Jewish. Like, and I tried to kind of explain. It was like the only thing different about me. It's like, what do you stand out with? I mean, where do you stand on it? Of like, like when I do my comedy shows in England, in Scotland, sorry, my Brendan Burns, we have a comedy show, and we'll always be like. His all line is there. Vince McMahon was so racist. There was 4 different black guys playing a witch doctor in the '80s, and you don't like. And I forget what it was, but it was like you know exactly like who they are or whatever. And it's kind of true. You think about it, it's just like fuck Kamala and Papa Shango,
Yep.
and
Saba Simba,
right. Where do you stand? I mean.
Well, I like I said, I wanted to be different. I didn't want to be Kamala because to me, Kamala just looked bad. So I figured, hey, if I have to run with it, I'm going to be an intelligence savage. It only works so much for Kamala, and so I had to combine that with my in-ring ability and try to make something work for me that separated me from everybody else.
So like when you say this is a 21st century giant or giant character, I mean, like, I don't know. You tell me, because I see the face paint, the crazy hair. Is it just the fact that you don't come out and do like voodoo dances and shit?
Yeah, I don't do voodoo dances. I don't make the weird noises, or slap my belly or anything of that nature. I come out and I try to cross myself between, I'd say, Vader and maybe Taker and some Cactus Jack a little bit, and then add in my own grunts and noises and things, and see how it goes. And I guess it's going well.
So that wasn't. I want to say I thought it was the ICP who kind of put that for you, but if I think back and you tell me what's right, I wanted to say it was kind of like the Tomasellis who started. This is what I kind of heard. They're like, hey, throw on some pants, please, or like throw on some trunks.
Yeah. The Tomasellis, because I was wearing singlets as Osiris, and they said the minute that you put on trunks, we'll book you as Osiris in Elite Pro in Chicago, and so I was like, you know what, screw it, I'll try it. And what could it hurt? The way he described it to me was the less clothes I wear, the bigger I looked. And I said, okay, that makes sense. And he says, expose your legs, cover up your soft spots, my belly.
Yeah.
And you're gonna look like a monster. And so that was the first place I did it. And they were booking Corporal Robinson at the time, and so they talked to him. And I worked a little program with him, and then he talked to Violent J and Shaggy about bringing me in. And they brought me in. I show up to the show in Detroit, rural Detroit. And we're doing the pre-show meeting, and all of a sudden I hear Corporal Corp,
Kongo Kong and Corporal Corp.
Right? Corporal Robinson says, you guys are out there, blah, blah, blah. And then Kongo Kong is going to come out and clean house. And I'm looking around and I'm like, okay, who the fuck is Kongo Kong? And then he looks at me and he goes, oh, by the way, that's your new name.
So they gave you that name.
Yeah, they gave me the name, and I figured, hey, if I'm going to be Osiris and Kongo Kong, I'm going to have some sort of difference. I can't just, because I didn't want to completely do away with Osiris. So through the grapevine, that Violent J was a mark for painted faces. So,
oh, cool. Who'd have thunk?
Yeah. Right?
Who'd have thunk the Insane Clown Posse? Yeah. And so, but it's kind of funny that, I mean, essentially Osiris is no more, right?
He works a couple places in Indiana.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a few here and there.
I'd imagine it'd be so hard to just... because at that point, if it was 13 or 14 years to just let go of that, right? And that's probably still going on.
Oh yeah. It's always a thought, but I figure I could stay Osiris, and on those weekends, whatever that I don't have the Kong bookings, I can go places around here and still kind of be an extension of Steve Wilson as opposed to an alter ego.
Mm-hmm. So you're keeping around for what reason? I'm kind of curious.
I mean, for the weekends that Kong's off, I still get to wrestle, and
what does that mean? Like they don't
pay as much.
So it's just
just go and hang out with my friends, at the places that I was going all those years before Kong, and seeing fans, I guess, and being Osiris for them.
All right. And then I want so when you change, okay, I say this in a person who is very body conscious myself. You have an interesting shaped body. Is that weird to say? I don't want to be a dick about it, right? But like it's pretty.
Right.
But it's. I kind of want. I'd like to hear your mindset of like. You were in the singlet. Listen, I'm a guy in the singlet the whole time. I understand. And then you're like, well, listen, hey, you're gonna make more money if you kind of show your body off.
Right.
Was it hard to do, or did you like?
Oh, it was terrible. It was so terrible.
Do you have like? I don't want to say body issues, but like, is there something there?
I guess at first there was, and then I realized how much easier I could breathe in just trunks. And the way it was explained to me by Vito Tomaselli was that you're big, people know you're big. What's the use in trying to hide it? Go ahead and flaunt it and do something that's different, because you don't. Well, back then you didn't see people, bigger guys in trunks, that weren't gym rats.
Right. And you're down with it.
Yeah.
Easy.
Hey, it's whatever.
Yeah.
Hey, Noel Foley decided to Snapchat last week that I forgot my bra while it's mid-match, and I mean she received all kinds of heat for it, which
body shaming.
Yeah,
was she body shaming?
I guess so, but it's whatever, because like
that's pro wrestling.
Yeah, she was clapping by the end of the match, so I don't give a fuck what she thinks about how I look.
No, I mean essentially at the end of the day, she's in the crowd. Exactly. Take away Noel Foley, but it's a fan's perspective. So let's hear a little bit about you, the person, because I think it's fun that. And then after that, I want to kind of get into the days of like Michigan where we met. But God, I follow you on Facebook and everything, and you're just like, and I guess I don't want to ruin it, but if you Steve Wilson, the person, is just like this sweet, nice dude, right?
Yeah.
Or you're from Fort Wayne?
No, I'm from Grand Rapids, Michigan.
From Grand Rapids.
Yeah, but I live here in Fort Wayne.
Okay.
I moved down here to go to school, and I actually received a scholarship to a little school called University of St. Francis. Played football there for 3 years, and then decided that.
So you grew up in Grand Rapids with what kind of area, what kind of family, brothers or sisters?
It was just me and my mom for 14 years, and then she had my brother. And
you were a late brother.
Yeah.
What's that like?
It was weird. It's kind of like being both dad and big brother.
I'd imagine there wasn't a father figure.
No, well, he dipped in and out. He had his issues and his demons, and not my father, my brother's father. My father has always been in my life. He just lives in Lansing, Michigan. So I spent a lot of summers and things and holidays with him. But for my brother, I was the one that had to be there. And so we grew up, and my mom she did an amazing job taking care of the both of us. And teaching us right from wrong, and how to be good people, And I've been fortunate because I've had a village of people who were willing to invest values and morals in me, like treat people like you want to be treated, treat people better.
You've had people take you in. Is that? I'm sorry.
Take me.
Good figures in your life, you're saying?
Yeah, like the principal, my high school principal. He and his wife would make sure that I was involved in extracurricular activities, so that I didn't become tempted by, the streets, because that's what it seemed like all the other people that I grew up with were doing.
Did you come from an area like that in Grand Rapids?
Oh yeah.
Real shit?
Oh, it was horrible. We wake up and we'd leave because my mom would drop me off at my grandmother's until it's time for my bus to come. And there would be the same people on the street corner that were there when we went to bed, selling drugs or doing whatever it was that they were doing. And, it was just kind of the thing to avoid for me anyway.
Yeah, never any interest in any of that.
No, not at all.
And you don't seem like you...
Not at all.
What do you it was instilled just at an early age, just don't mess with that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen people and I've watched them up close, and I've always been the person that I can watch somebody else go through something and know that it's not for me. Mm-hmm. I've had people tell me that, well, you have no life experience, and this is not true. I experience things through other people's eyes, and I know for a fact that that's not the type of thing that I want to go through.
Why would you say people don't say you have life experience? What does that even mean? You're not a young kid.
Yeah, I think it was
like you haven't done fucked up shit. You haven't been a piece of shit.
Yeah, exactly. so yeah, pretty much I would have had to go down that road for them to understand that I know right from wrong,
right.
and that I know about the situation. And just because I've never actually been through the situation doesn't mean that I haven't seen the situation.
Right, you haven't seen the lowest of the lows. Would you? Well, I'll ask this then. So a lot of people equate low of the lows with drugs or alcohol or whatever. But have you seen other has there been lows for you in your life to dip up from then?
Yeah. I mean, there was a point where I lost 5 really close family members over the course of 6 years, and that was really rough. It started with my grandmother, and then later on that same year, I lost an aunt to cancer. Then a year later, another aunt to cancer. Then an uncle to cancer, and then I had a cousin who I was really close to just die. She passed away. I'm not really still sure what happened to this day, but she was only 36 at the time, and it was just a crazy thing, a crazy time in my life, where I had to try to keep my head above water, and then I had to try to be strong for my family. And
what years were this in your life?
This was
how old were you?
2005 to 2011. Yeah, and I roughly 25 to 31, something like that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's just you don't realize the impact of losing a person. How it affects you. Even when you lose the person, you don't even realize how depressed you can be. And how bad things can get. But eventually, you keep living, you keep plugging, and hopefully you snap out of it. Some people don't have that ability, but fortunately I did.
Do you use, was wrestling ever an outlet to help you out of that kind of stuff?
Wrestling has been an outlet for 17 years. Wrestling has kept me out of jail. It's funny because, people talk about how staged wrestling is, or how I hate to use the F word, but fake or whatever. But for that 15 minutes, I can get in there and I can be another person, and I can still take out my aggression and not hurt anybody. Mm-hmm. And fake whooping somebody's ass to me is just as good as actually whooping somebody's ass. Right. So it's
there's no consequences at the end.
Exactly.
As opposed to those guys who then go to jail. Like they get it out, they get drunk, they get shit faced. Right, they're depressed. They get shit faced. They go to the bar. They pick in a fight. They beat the fuck out of somebody.
Exactly.
And then now it's a year and 2 years of jail or courts and all that shit.
Right. And I've never had to do that. Never had to face anything like that.
Right.
Never seen the inside of a jail. Never court. Never been in handcuffs. And
I'm not saying that you would, but I'm saying if that's how people blow their steam off.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, when whooping someone's ass, quote
right.
unquote.
And I get cheered for whooping people's
right.
ass. So hey.
So my first couple matches. So I trained in Chicago, And then I went to school in Kalamazoo at Western Michigan University. And while I was there, I was friends with a guy named Kevin Harvey, who's a ring announcer and still does some stuff for AEW, maybe not so much anymore. And he had this weird hookup with LSWO, which is Lakeshore Wrestling Organization in Holland, Michigan. Is that right?
Yes.
Or was it Howell?
No, it was Holland.
Holland, Michigan.
Holland, yeah.
And the great thing about like the idea of this is, this was, and you can help me explain too, this was, would you say, a garage? Now, Holland, Michigan is one of the smallest, like not little city, but it's a small little town.
Yeah, it's a small town.
Yeah.
Yep, right on
And
Lake
in there
Michigan.
was what was that place?
It was meant for a business. Like some place where I guess you can park trucks and have a little office and run a business out of.
Yeah.
But we managed to fit a 20 by 20 foot ring.
That
in
ring
there.
was fucking huge.
Yes, sir. And
Two sides. So it's two sides.
Yeah.
People were only allowed on two sides.
Yeah.
And I'd say, man, maybe if 15 chairs on one side and 15 on the other, right? Like,
Yeah.
It wasn't like they were packing their place.
Yeah, we could probably fit about 50 fans in there. It did not very many at all.
Yeah.
But
and what was it? It was the LSWO. It was I only wrestled there maybe a handful of times.
Yeah.
But that's where I met you.
Right.
Every weekday or every Wednesday or every
2 weeks.
Every 2
that
weeks
we had shows. Yeah.
and there was like a
every
cable
second
access
Saturday.
show.
Yep.
And that's where Jimmy Jacobs came from. Did anybody else? Guys like Jimmy Showen and Frankie the Face.
Right.
And,
Yeah, those
a
guys
handful
came
of
out of there.
guys.
Yeah, Josh Abercrombie. No,
I don't think he was there.
Wasn't there? No,
This was 99, 2000.
Yeah.
And how did you end up with that? Was that your first kind of matches too?
Well, I had actually started with Pro Wrestling Worldwide, which was in Grand Rapids, ran by this scumbag named Marshall Redder, and Scott Easy, he was doing the training, and I was off one summer from my first college, Saginaw Valley State University, and I saw a flyer for a show. And at the bottom it says, if you're interested in becoming a pro wrestler, call this number. So I called the number to look into it more. And so I showed up to, I think, 2 practices, and all of a sudden Marshall Redder decided that it was time for me to be wrestling.
You were ready.
Yeah.
Did you know?
I knew how to lock up.
But did you know that you weren't ready?
Oh, I knew I wasn't ready. Yeah. A lock up, a headlock, and a drop toe hold.
And what do you think? They were just like, this guy's so big, or they were just like, whatever?
No, they're like, they're paying their money, so we want to put them in the ring. We don't care.
Because we want them to keep paying money?
Yes. And
Now, had you liked wrestling as a kid?
Oh, I loved it.
Loved the wrestling.
Loved it since 5, probably even before that. But my dad tells me, since you were a kid, you wanted to be Hulk Hogan.
Okay.
So and I remember my first match was against this guy named JT Freeze, and Goldberg was big at the time, and so he calls for a spear in our match, and me just getting out of college football, I'm like, okay, I don't know how to hit a spear without killing you, so
Right.
I gave him a straight up form tackle, and he laid there writhing in pain, and I tried not to panic, and I'm like, oh shit, I just killed him. He's like, I was like, do I pin him? If I pin him, he's probably gonna stay down, and I don't know what to do right now.
But you knew not to hit. It's not like we're in the era of like, back in the day, they wouldn't tell them it was staged. You knew not to you just didn't know how not to.
Yeah,
right?
like how do you make it look good and not actually kill the guy?
Yeah.
I know now, but then it was completely new.
What year was that? Do you remember? Was that 98 or were you a 99
That was
guy?
98.
99.
98.
Was JT Freeze Skeet Down, Beat Down?
That was Black Ice.
Black Ice. Because that's the guy I wrestled at LSWO. And I'll never forget him calling for the Skeet Down, Beat Down. So you had to work your way to the LSWO.
Well, what ended up happening was Marshall Redder got rid of Scotty Z, and then he hired Joe Ortega. And Joe started training us and taking us under his wing and whatever, and would bring in guys like Matt Maverick to help out, Harker Dirge now. And then Pro Wrestling Worldwide folded, and I got a call a couple weeks later from Joe Ortega saying, "Hey, I'm going to start my own thing here. Just $50 a month, and you come train 2-3 times a week in Holland, and we'll run shows once we get up and running."
Now, Joe Ortega was this guy, this luchador, right?
Yeah.
Was he a luchador? Did you ever get a backstory on him? Do you ever wonder looking back?
I definitely wonder looking back. He says he was trained by the same guy that trained Shawn Michaels, Jose Lothario. But back then we didn't have internet.
Yeah.
That's how old we are. We didn't have internet. And so you couldn't really research.
Well, we
like
did,
that.
but there was like maybe an Angel Fire page.
Right.
Or a Lycos.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember
exactly
the LSWO page. Because the funny thing about back then was like, it's almost like the shittier the wrestling was, the better their website was.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Because I want to say it was always like, the shittier guys always had like the nerdiest sweet dudes who knew how to do like HTML and how to make it really nice. So like, especially as an 18, 19-year-old looking back on it, especially in college, I'd sit there and I have nothing to do. I'd be looking at all these places and I'd be like, wow, this place looks amazing. This looks like the best wrestling promotion ever. And you can like almost fake it that you're like the best, at least on the internet.
Yeah, and then you get there and you're like, what the hell?
And then you show up, you're like, Jesus, well, I guess this is the best. I don't know.
Wrestling.
Yeah. So I don't know. You think he was a Jose Lothario? I don't know. Who knows?
Who knows? Yeah. I mean, he got me started. He taught me, basic stuff. I had a place to wrestle for 2 years. Mm-hmm. Nobody ended up dead, so we were good.
Is that most importantly? Can we look back on it and say that nobody has died? I don't know. That's a sad thing. And so then you ended up becoming an Indiana guy because there's a lot of these local Indiana wrestlers, and you were one of them for years, and like now you're kind of branching out, like we said.
Yeah.
And I guess like kind of with Jason Maples and like that EWF crew a little bit, would you say?
Yeah, that's where I started off in Indiana. Like I tried.
So you made the move for college, or?
Yeah, came down here for college, played for 3 years, and I was done. Like, waking up in the morning, I can't stand up straight because I'm so sore, and football wasn't my first love. I love football, but I don't love playing it because it was just it became a job and it was no longer fun. So I wanted to get back into what I love, wrestling.
So I'm sorry. So you did football. You took off. You saw the flyer. When you saw the flyer, were you like, I'm done with football. I'm wrestling now?
The first time, yes.
Did you quit college? Saginaw Sally is good, right?
They were pretty good back in the day.
Division II football.
Oh yeah, they're pretty good back in the day. They were some dicks though. They made me feel not comfortable my first year there, and so once that opportunity jumped to where I saw the poster where I can train and wrestle, I was like,
traded in.
Yeah, I'm done. I'm good
for LSWO wrestling.
Yes,
and for Power Pro wrestling.
Yes, and then
were you on a deal there or? Were you walk on, or maybe they don't have?
No, I had a scholarship.
You had a scholarship.
Yeah, I had a scholarship.
Hold on. What did your mom say to that?
She said, "Well, you got to get a job and you got to pay rent." And
she was really okay with you dropping that scholarship.
She didn't make it easy for me, but she knew that I wasn't happy.
If you were miserable, right?
Yeah. So she didn't want to make me go through with it. And so, once I found wrestling, she was like, okay. And so I did that for 3 years, went from job to job because that's what teenagers do. You can't really hold down the job.
Yeah, but you seem like a guy who could hold down a job easy.
Well, yeah, I can now. I've been in my current job for 8 years.
Were you a piece of shit back then?
I wouldn't say I was a piece of shit, just trying to find the right thing, I guess.
Yeah.
And even the second time I ended up coming down or getting a scholarship and coming to college here, they didn't have anything that interested me so much that I could see myself doing it for the rest of my life.
In terms of like an education?
In education, correct.
Huh. So how do you get a scholarship, take off 3 years, wrestle, and then re-get a scholarship? Can I get a scholarship?
You might be able
Can
to.
I go get a scholarship to play football at St. Francis?
I had a great high school coach, and he had sent some guys down here, including his son. And And he said, hey, if I could get you another scholarship, would you be interested? And at that point, I was at my wit's end with working construction and working for Rent-A-Center and things like that. And so I was like, yeah, absolutely.
Right.
And so I came down here and I tried it for 3 years. And then.
Were you a 25-year-old playing football? 24-year-old?
Yeah. 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 I was a couple years older than everybody in my class.
That's got to give you an advantage, right?
You would think, but it was I don't know. It was weird, like trying to impress the coach or my offensive line coach. They called him the Nazi, and
it's a solid nickname to have.
Yeah,
that's always good.
It's this
must have been a sweetheart of a man.
Big, tall, blonde hair, blue-eyed asshole.
Yeah, hell on, man. Ain't it true?
Yeah, I mean, I respect the man, but yeah, he was the worst. Great coach, just as a human being.
As a human being,
yeah.
Because I played football for a year in my college ball, and they were just all such mean men.
Right.
And like I feel, and I don't know how because you've been in the educational system too, right?
Yeah.
Is that what you're doing now still, or?
No, I take care of special needs.
Okay.
Individuals. Yeah.
But were you a teaching assistant too or something?
Yeah, I've done teaching assistant.
Right.
Yeah, work, and I mean, because that was one of the things that I thought I wanted to do is be a teacher, and.
But you see the other side of the coin of like, I just feel as a teacher, because I worked at the school for 2 years, and just if you're someone who's molding someone, it's just so. I think it's such better for the person to be more positive.
Oh yeah.
And I know like I watched that 30 for 30. You ever watch those?
No.
I watched the one on the Bears, and like Buddy Ryan was like, such a piece of shit to Mike Singletary, I guess. And at the end of it, Mike Singletary's like, I love him for that and for being that. But like maybe I never saw anything through where my coach or anybody was so mean to me that eventually like I loved him for it.
Right.
Like I was just like, well, you're so mean, I hate you. I'm running away from you, and I don't want to be associated with you, right?
Right. Yeah. I like even with training now, I realize that I have to treat everyone on an individual basis. Some people need, you to be that asshole to them, and I prefer not to. But some people, that's how they thrive. And I'd rather try to connect and see how a person learns and, be an example, for them, on how to be a better person or be a good person.
I just know I don't thrive if you're mean to me. Like,
right.
And I assume you're the same. From past examples.
Like, don't do that because I'll shut down and you won't get what it is that you're looking for. Yeah,
I think shutdown's a great word for it too.
Right.
Yeah. I forget what I have a word for like when fans are like really weird with me. Like maybe zone out, but that's the same as shutdown. But like, I'll check out maybe,
right?
Which is the same thing. It's all the same, yeah. And it's just like I've said that before. Like if someone's like, "How's Phil?" and it's just like, well, like we were having a great like conversation, but then you're just like, nope. And then those are the same people that go on the internet and talk shit about you.
Absolutely.
But yeah. I'm with you. So were you wrestling while you were doing college football?
During the summers, I would do a show or two. Because at the time, LSWO was still wrestling or still running.
In Indiana, I mean.
Not in Indiana. I didn't wrestle in Indiana. I would come home during summer break and wrestle. They knew that I was a wrestler, but they didn't know if I was actively wrestling or not.
Yeah.
And then that last summer, I hooked up with Jason Maples. And he said, "Come on down." And at the time, he was running weekly shows, and it was kind of hard to pass up. Mm-hmm. And then I rediscovered my love for pro wrestling, and
What made you rediscover? Just the idea that you were doing it a lot, or
yeah, because I was able to do it, and I was like, "Hey, this is a place that I can kind of learn," and anyone who has become anyone over the last 10 years or so. It seems like they come through EWF, because it was a place they ran every week, and a lot of times guys would be in between shows and they'd be like, "Hey, let's go hit up this place in Marion." Mm-hmm. So I got to work with a lot of different people from different places, and
especially I think he was running weekday shows. Am I correct? For a while he was running Wednesday shows.
Occasionally he would do Wednesdays, yeah.
And yeah, I know for me and a lot of my cohorts, like that was a place, or maybe it was because they ran every week, and there's always a show. So like if there's a hole in the schedule and you're a guy like me, and Jimmy Jacobs is a great example of a guy who was like that too.
Yeah.
It's like you want to fill that schedule, you need a show, you thrive off of needing to wrestle. Right. You don't want to be a person who doesn't fill a schedule.
So yeah, you go to that little rundown karate dojo in Marion, Indiana.
Yeah. The ones I did was an old movie theater.
Yeah, I got there after that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, man. This was just like, I love it. It just summed up indie wrestling, man. It was just a broken down movie theater. But like, or maybe, I'll take that back. It probably wasn't. I think he had taken movie theater seats.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That was the karate dojo, yeah.
That was the karate dojo?
Yeah, he stole the seats out of there.
He stole the seats out?
Yep.
Which is great. It was just seats from a movie theater.
Oh, yeah.
And you could sit down.
Yeah, it was fun times. I remember Jerry Lawler coming in there and looking around, and he goes, "My fucking garage is bigger than this."
Yeah, I know. It's funny how you say that, because I have the memory of just being like, there's so many shows where I'll say to myself, and no offense to Jason, no offense to you, even though this is your home, and I'll be like, what the fuck am I doing with my life when you're in a place like that, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But looking back on it, you're like, oh, that was awesome.
Yeah. And then it for me, it was a good thing, because it helped me learn a lot. Whereas my questionable trainer didn't teach me a lot of things. I learned a lot wrestling and working with different people from HWA and OVW, and just different people. It made for a good experience,
Right.
until I can get confident enough to start branching out.
And you did all those. You were on all those. Like but just those weird Indiana shows, right?
Yeah.
I don't even. There's always so many weird. It's such a weird like place of Americana, especially for like. I don't know. I would like recommend, if you're like on the East Coast or the West Coast, or if you're like in a different country, like if you really want to see like what America's all about, come to a weird Indiana show, which Kong has been on.
Oh yeah,
right. And back like you would definitely see like Public Enemy on the show, or like or like Tommy Rich, who's here today. Like he'll be there. Yep. Tracy Smothers has been on.
Yeah.
And now that like I would say the like Insane Clown Posse. I don't know. I'm speaking for you. It's probably the nicest little like boost to your kind of your head start now, almost.
Yeah, it definitely helped me get seen.
Right.
Once I had done the pay-per-views or the iPay-per-views, people started to notice me, and then I started getting booked different places, and then all of a sudden, more people are noticing me, and then Scott D'Amore, notices me and starts me getting booked in Canada.
Yeah. So that's what I kind of want to say. So like, as a guy who's strictly basically booked in Indiana for 10 years, dare I say, where are some places now that you started to go to? Newfoundland being one that we toured on.
Yep. Newfoundland, Nova Scotia, different parts of Ontario, all over the United States.
We did that show in New Mexico together.
Yeah.
Did you? Were you on that?
Vegas.
I remember. You did Global Force, right? Yeah. New Mexico was Farmington, New Mexico.
Farmington, yes.
It was in the small. I've never been in a plane that small.
Oh, it was horrible.
Did you? Can you fit in that plane?
That was actually my second flight. So the first flight being from Indianapolis to Denver. And then the next flight being on that 19-passenger plane, barely fitting in the seat, with my head kind of tilted to the side because the top of the plane curved over my head.
Yeah.
That was the only way I could sit there straight up. And being scared out of my mind, like, what the fuck did I get myself into? What?
I remember that was the only time I've ever thrown up on a plane before. I threw up on the way down. 19 passengers. There was nobody. I was the last seat and nobody was next to me, and it was going down. It was just so like wavy.
Oh yeah.
I just threw up against the wall.
Did you leave it?
Yeah, I had a blanket from the flight before. I think I kind of like mopped it up a little bit and left the blanket there. I was like, we're in New Mexico. Yeah, pretty gross.
Yeah,
pretty gross. Oh, that's cool. You did the Global Force tapings. I forgot about that. Yeah. And like, it's just moving forward from here, huh?
Yeah, see what happens. Hopefully Global Force, does something. If they don't, then we'll just keep plugging.
You seem to be a guy who also always has a random manager with him. Is that a thing?
I have like 35 managers.
Yeah.
Because obviously, you know, promoters are too cheap to bring in one manager. I guess if I had to pick a manager, it'd probably be Rodney Rush. But
I thought it'd probably be like Jimmy Hart or like Bobby Heenan.
I mean, I'd have to work with. You know, it'd have to be somebody I have great rapport with. And
You wouldn't even want Jimmy Hart.
no,
Oh, poor Jimmy.
I mean, I don't know.
All right, I'll take him, but
But you know, yeah, you go different places and they're like, oh, this is going to be your mouthpiece.
but you know what? It's probably in your favor. Like that could lead to more book. Like if they have that friend who wants to, like, I got this guy and he just wants to talk. Like I don't know, it could be worse for your match, but it could lead to a booking though.
Right?
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, if I'm a promoter, I'm raffling off that managing. That's what I'm doing. Hey, you could be Kongo Kong's manager tonight. All right, we got a raffle here.
Yep.
You win. We'll keep the $400 in the raffle. You get to be his manager. Bring your suit and tie and maybe some kind of weapon of some sort.
Right.
That'd be the perfect scenario.
Exactly.
Maybe you should do that. You should go to each town and raffle off the opportunity to manage you. I think, my opinion. Well, cool. Yeah, I think fun, man. I'm excited. Like for this surgeons for you. Makes me happy. If that means anything.
Man. Absolutely.
I don't know.
Appreciate that.
We've known each other for a long time.
I've watched you guys flourish, you and Jimmy, and have great success. And I've always been like, well, what the hell am I missing? And who would have thunk it would have been face paint?
Face paint. And I think the trunks, man. Like just an imposing look.
Yeah.
And also we're in an era where like I don't know, like the real name and the real person, the real identity is really becoming a thing.
Right.
And so, it's always like whatever the rules are, then when you change a little bit, that's the thing that everyone starts to look at. So now if like everyone is using their own personality, their own name and their own whatever, now you throw that curveball, like you're just so different.
Yeah.
Doing the shtick,
Absolutely.
Doing the big gimmick.
Absolutely. Yeah. I thought for sure it wouldn't work, having a gimmick, and I was like, okay, probably the only place I'll get to use this is JCW because they cater to that kind of weird, awkward crowd, and
they like over the top.
Yeah.
I'm a fucking police officer. So.
Right. To get out, shit, I lost my train of thought.
Just that you didn't think it was gonna work anywhere else.
Yeah, no, I definitely thought it wasn't gonna work, and it's funny because once it became popular, all of a sudden I saw savages everywhere.
That's funny.
And there was even a time I got debooked off of a show because they decided to go a cheaper route, but. Fortunately, they realized that they made a mistake.
Yeah, I saw,
and there is no Kong cheap 0.0.
Very nice. You're the only one. I was having this conversation with actually DJ Z yesterday.
Yeah.
We were riding together, and he was just like, long story short, there was this situation like in Scotland. I don't know if you saw that, where this dude got his dick out, David Blaze, and he like teabagged a dude and like his dick was out.
Oh, wow.
Pretty awesome, I thought. It's an 18 and over show. It's for ICW. They're always getting drunk.
Right.
And he was like, I'm just worried that like everyone, instead of he was like, I think the new thing is everyone just trying to go viral.
Right.
Like that's the cool thing.
Right.
And like my argument was just like, oh, well, that's fine. Like I go, that's what indie wrestling is that something gets over and then everyone just tries to do that.
Right.
And I said, like, listen, there was a time where everyone tried to wrestle like low key. There's a time where everyone tried to become like a submission. There was a time where everyone had a fake Bullet Club T-shirt. You know what I'm saying? And now it's kind of the same thing. But it's in the same thing of like that's just what happens.
Yeah.
A savage gets over, and then now you got all these fucking fake ass savages. So it's almost a compliment, I think.
Yeah. Let's do what he did. See if it works for us. And
right. Doink everyone was a Doink the Clown for a while. We all know those. Where are you at on the internet, bud?
You can reach me on Facebook. Kongo Kong or the Juggernaut Osiris is my fan page. my name is Steve Wilson. If you can find me under my regular page, and if I have any openings, I'll add you. But I think I'm right at capacity, so it's probably not gonna happen. Probably just have to follow me, and you can, get glimpses into my life and see how crazy I am about my niece, and how, as Colt says, I'm a great person or good person or whatever, nice guy.
Not if you brag about it. I can say it. You can't say that.
You can also reach me on Twitter at Real Kongo Kong. Follow me on Instagram, which I don't post any pics, so I don't even know why anybody would want to follow me.
You're lurking though, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
We just found out you're a lurker. We got a voyeur over here. See all the weirdos you're following. I see how it is.
But yeah, I also make wrestling gear, so if there's any wrestlers out
We
there
didn't even
looking
get
for
into
gear,
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck, I wanted
you
to touch
can
on that too.
Hit me up. The actual page for that on Facebook is Juggernaut Gear by Osiris. Or you can hit me up on any of the other avenues.
Cool. Yeah, you make gear. It's just another kind of like a survival thing. Like, oh, we're in wrestling. Nobody makes gear.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
I'll just learn how to make gear.
Yeah. I got tired of the lady that was making my singlets. I'd ask for something, and she'd be like, nope, I'm just going to do this. And like, hey, lady, the singlet needs to fit kind of tight. And she'd give me this baggy thing. And, it got to the point where I saw a sewing machine on sale. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to invest in that. And I'm going to teach myself how to sew. And here we are. I think I did that in 2007. Here we are 2016. And I actually think I do okay.
Yeah, you make great stuff, man.
Appreciate that.
Cool. Rock and roll. Why'd I say rock and roll? I don't know. All right. Thanks for being on.
Thanks for having me, man.
Thanks, buddy.
He's lovable, right? It's sad that we have to hate him, but that's wrestling. You go to the show, you get into it, you suspend disbelief, and then behind that face paint and that amazing look is a real sweetheart of a dude. Thank you so much, Kongo Kong, for being on the show. It was a pleasure, and I'm glad after knowing you for so many years, now I get to throw you on a platform like this and help you spread your wings like you're doing so greatly on your own. All right, before we get out of here, let's get into some plugs and
Upcoming events.
All right, again, the best way that you can support ColtMerch.com, DigitalColt.com, Twitter and Instagram at Colt Cabana, Facebook /AOW Podcast /Colt Cabana, ColtWrestling@gmail.com is my very public email. Maybe you're a promoter, want to put me on your upcoming show or convention. WorstPromoEver.com, that will lead you to YouTube.com /Colt Cabana Wrestling. That's my YouTube page. Throwing a lot of stuff up there. Just put up a new We've Got Mail from High Spots. They sent us a subscription box. ColtCabana.com is my website, which leads you to everything, including my P.O. box, where you can send me some snail mail. All right, upcoming Friday, June 10th, Joppa, Maryland, MarylandWrestling.com. Saturday, June 11th, Keyport, New Jersey. I've been fucking that one up, sorry. WrestleProOnline.com. Sunday, June 12th, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, ROHWrestling.com. Friday and Saturday, June 17th and 18th, Des Moines, Iowa, Minneapolis, Minnesota. Check me out, First Wrestling. Friday and Saturday, June 24th and 25th, Limerick and Dublin, Ireland, Over the Top Wrestling. Sunday, June 26th, Belfast, Ireland, Pro Wrestling, Ulster.co.uk. Friday, July 1st, Marion, Illinois, GlobalForceWrestling.com. Sunday, July 3rd, Denver, Colorado, Lucha Libre and Laughs.com. July 6th, I'm hosting the Podcast Awards, PodcastMovement.com in Chicago, Illinois. Saturday, July 9th, Summit, Illinois, ResistancePro.com. August 1st and 2nd, Brendan Burns and I are doing comedy, Birmingham and Manchester. Then we head up to Edinburgh all of August, the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. You can get tickets for those shows at the Fringe, pleasance.co.uk. Working on some live podcasts. We're working on it. I am hoping the first 2 Sundays of August. It doesn't look like ICW is doing anything in Edinburgh, sadly, so we're trying to do some live podcasts. There's so many great comedians who love wrestling up there. We're trying to make it happen. Cross your fingers, Studio 24 has something open and we can do it there. All right, that is the show for this week. Real good one, real fun one. I thank you very much for listening, telling friends, just being cool, man. Being with me since day 1 or day 500, whichever it was. I super appreciate you listening. Thanks to Kongo Kong for coming on the show. Thanks to Kid Guy Jeff and Stu Stone. Thanks to Kid Russell, Matt Jenkins on the music. Thanks to Dane Miller with that tech. Let's thank our sponsors, highspots.com. Hundreds of full-length titles available to download. A subscription box, which Marty and I opened and was great. A lot of great DVDs in there. A VOD service, which is even, maybe dare I say, better. And you can get gear, a wrestling ring, AMA knee pads, you name it, they got it. OneHourTees.com. They help run ProWrestlingTees.com. You can support your favorite independent wrestlers there. there with a t-shirt. You buy a t-shirt from them, they get money, and everyone is extremely happy. And tweakedaudio.com/Colt, the earbuds that I use, get over 30% off and free shipping just because you listen to this show. That's now officially over. We did it, guys. We did it. Go buy that Harry's set for your father. Do it. I'm telling you. The blades are amazing. It's what I use. It's great. I don't even have, this is a post roll. It's not even a real thing, but go buy that Harry's set for your Father's Day gift, because you know you're like me and you haven't gotten him anything and you're so lazy and you don't know what to do. Ugh, just get him some razor blades. It helps the podcast. It helps your relationship with your dad. It helps it helps your relationship with your stepdad or somebody else's dad, a father-in-law. That's a thing, right? All right. That's just my advice. Still got some drain problems, by the way. Studio apartment is old as fuck. Thought I fixed it. I've probably, over the years, I've probably thrown 8 gallons worth of Drano down there. Dare I say, Homicide to Colt Cabana is like Colt Cabana to my shower drain, where we've just put a shitload of Drano down each other's throats. I was going to say, and at the end of the day, it does nothing for our careers, but I don't know what kind of career my drain has. And my career went pretty well after that, Drano incident with Homicide, who I wrestled in Cleveland for the J-Lit. Have you bought that on VOD yet? Homicide's crazy. He threw a bell at my face. It broke against the post, but could have just knocked my face off. Like that SNL skit where he stood up and the fan hit him in the face. All right, I'm done. I've talked too much. This has been The Art of Wrestling. For Colt Cabana, I'm Colt Cabana. Thanks.